Hey, it's Jamila from Color Me Crafty. I am back with another tutorial. Tech sent me one of their laser cutter engravers, so that's what you see behind me. I named him Wilbur. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a reusable pencil jig out of a scrap piece of wood. It has the registration marks so that you can use the print and cut feature in Lightburn. So I'm gonna walk you through how to make this from scratch in Lightburn, and also how to cut it out and how to use it to engrave pencils. If you're new here, go ahead and turn on the little bell notification and hit the subscribe button, and I hope you enjoy the video. In a new window in Lightroom, go ahead and make a square. And this first square is going to be the size of your template to be. And I know that mine is 12 inches by 10 inches. And I'm just using a piece of scrap that I have to make it. So I'm just gonna position that there, and I'm not gonna worry about my speed and power settings right at this moment. Every laser is going to be different. The cut settings for whatever wood you're using is going to be different. So that is not going to be as relevant as how to make this template in Lightburn and how to use it. So the next thing we want to do is make the squares or rectangles for the cutouts for the pencils to nest into. So I'm going to grab another square and I'm just going to throw it in here. And as you can see, I have inches set in my Lightburn settings for my measurements. When I first installed Lightburn, these were all millimeters. I wanted to see inches because that's what I use to measure, but it doesn't really matter. You can type in form of measurement you're using. So I'm going to resize this up here using millimeters. And after measuring my pencil, I decided on a width of 8 millimeters by 7 millimeters. And this is the piece that my pencil is going to nest into. Now, I also want to put in a safe zone, and what I mean by that is I want to put in just a place marker to show me where the eraser and metal are. So I'm going to make one more rectangle, and that rectangle is going to be 20 millimeters by 7 millimeters. And I'm just going to move it up here. I'm going to select them both, and I'm going to go up to the top to the align tools, and I want to align them left and then align them center. So now I can see where my eraser is going to cut. Now this, where the eraser is, I am going to change that to tool because I don't want that to cut out while I'm making the template. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to spread this cutout, this pencil cutout, all the way down. And you could even add over here to the side, but first we're going to go all the way down. So go ahead and select the object and click on the array. Actually, let me cancel that. I want to select both of these and click on array. And we don't want any columns across, which are going to be our X columns. We want rows. So if you go in here to the array tool and you start clicking to get more rows and it is backwards, just click on reverse direction and that'll fix that for you. So just go ahead and keep adding until your template is full. And then click on OK. Like I said, depending on the size of your template, you can also add some over here. I'm not. We have 19, so I want to add one more. I'm going to select this bottom one, go back into, make sure that both sections or both objects are selected. Go back into the array tool, and I just want one more row. Click on OK, and I'm out of there. So I know I can get a set of 20 on this sheet. I could probably do more over here, but I'm not. I don't want to. So I'm going to select all of these, and you want to make sure that when you go use the select tool that all of the objects that you want are inside the box when you drag your cursor over them. And then I want to group these, and then I'm going to select everything and go up to my align, and I'm going to center this way and center this way. The last step is going to be adding registration marks. And the reason why you want to do this is because we're building a reusable jig or reusable template for pencil engraving. So you want the laser to be able to line up in the exact spot every single time. And to do that, you'll have to use the print and cut feature and manipulate your laser into going to the exact point at each time. So I'm going to make a circle, and I'm just going to do 1 inch by 1 inch, and then you want 2 lines that cross each other. Now, as you can see, my lines are not centered, but I'm going to, whoops, let's get that out of there. I'm going to select everything and then go up to align and align center both ways. Now that I have my center, I'm going to make these a little bit shorter and then select them all and go up here to the group of people or silhouette if it looks like people and grab those. So now I'm going to move, that might be a little bit big, but I'm going to leave it. But move my registration mark to, I'm moving the registration mark to align with the rest of the template. And then from here, I'm going to copy and paste and then put another one in this other corner. The last step that I'm going to do is go ahead and change my cut settings. This is easier to do if you do it at the beginning as you draw each object. So I have my cut settings in front of me, and I'm going to change this line, these, I don't know, green or number 27 lines. I'm going to change it to 15 speed and 25 power. These also, they actually need to be a different color. So I just selected both of them, and I'm going to change them to red. And the settings for that is already set. I just want it to score. So it's going to do that at 200 for the speed and 20 for the power. Finally, we can go cut this part out. So next we're going to place the piece of wood. I'm going to put it in the top corner here, and then I'm going to go back over to my computer and make sure that when I go to cut, it's going to actually cut within this piece. So the way we figure out if we have the piece of wood positioned correctly is I'm going to select this outline here and then click on frame. Oh, make sure your output is on. I had everything turned off so there was no output. And I think I'm actually going to change this power to 25. So again, click on that outer frame here and then click frame. As I can see, I need to make some adjustments. So, for one, I put the piece of wood in the top corner, and this is not in the top corner. So I'm going to select everything and move to upper left. Now let's try framing it again. So only the left side and the left top are okay. So what I am actually going to do is make this smaller. I must have measured something incorrectly when I measured this piece of wood. So I'm going to make that smaller, and then I'm going to select all of these and that outer frame and recenter everything. And I want to move it to the upper left corner. And if you notice, up here at the top is for you to move the objects, and this is for you to move the laser to the objects. So we have to move our registration marks so that they are in a usable position. And I'm going to select the outer portion again and click on frame again. And that looks good, so we're ready to go. Make sure that your settings are correct. So in a project before, I was using a fill of 200 or speed 200 and power 20, and because I use the same color here, it kept those same settings. I don't want them to fill, I want them to score. So let's try this again. So I went ahead and clicked from Lightburn to start, and I have it set to cut the inner pieces first. And what I did was went to the optimization settings, and this is just kind of my default settings, and I made sure that this was toggled on. This wood, there was a lot of pockets and knots, but I just took an X-Acto knife and removed all the inner pieces, and right here you can see the circle and the crosshairs for our print and cut. And now we're going to put it back in. Now that we have everything cut out, we're going to change all of this to a tool layer. From here, we want to go ahead and type in some text for us to engrave on our pencils. And once we have that text typed out, we also want to align it in the correct way. So I'm going to blow this up a little bit and then move it to where I can see, because I like to type the text directly in the box. Let's make it a little bit bigger. So I'm going to grab the type tool here, and let's just do something fun. Now obviously this needs to be quite a bit smaller, and with the lock locked, I'm going to grab from the corner and just make it smaller. And I've turned off the snap to object. I don't like it. I'd rather do it myself. And this actually, I think, needs to be smaller. You want to leave a little space at the top and the bottom. And I should have done this before, but I'm going to go ahead and choose a font that I like. I have a ton of fonts, so let's use that one. So I don't need to resize it anymore. Let's move it a little bit closer to that eraser. Now, I'm still learning, so I would love an easier way to do this, but this is how I'm doing it. Just make sure that I have all of them. And this I should have changed because we're gonna engrave those at 200 with 20 power. $200 with 25 power. So I'm going to go ahead and add text to the rest of these, and then we'll get them engraved. So I'm going to select this first one in the upper right. I'm going to go up here and I want to move my laser to the center of that selection. Here at the machine, I want to move this until that red dot on my laser head is right there in the center. And then go up to, once you have it centered at the machine, go up to Tools, Print and Cut, and then set first target position. So next we have to set this target position. So I'm going to move the laser to the middle of that selection. And you can kind of see that we need to make a little bit of adjustment. We want to make this adjustment without moving that top corner. And this is a lot easier using the upper corners, but for the purposes of this tutorial, I wanted to show you using the bottom corner. So I'm going to reach in here and I'm just going to hold this in place and just very gently move the wood to my laser. Now, because I've moved the wood, I want to recheck that constant. Now we can drop some pencils in here, and you want to make sure to have them sit right in there how you want it. And my jig measurements are a little bit bigger than some that I've seen, but I want it for my pencils to sit right down inside the jig. I've seen a lot that the measurements have them sitting on top. Alright, so I ended up only doing 4. Let's see what we got. And this is how they look. I can actually go a little bit less power on these, but I like them. I like how deep it engraved. Even the Dollar Tree pencils that I tested before that turned out crappy look very good this time. Now, I'm sure you see that there's a little bit of residue on these, and I'm going to show you how I get that off real quick. So I just have a magic eraser here. Let's see if I can get it in focus. And I'm just going to clean, it's wet, I'm just going to clean that off. It's actually probably a little bit easier to see on one of these. The magic eraser took that residue right off. So now we've made pencils. What do you guys think? Go ahead and drop me a comment below and let me know what kind of laser tutorials or other tutorials that you would like to see. Thanks for watching.